Good evening, everyone. How are you this evening? How is everybody? Hi, Patricia. Hi, Matthew. Hey, Ronnie. How are we this evening? I hope you're all well. Don't forget, if you have popped in, do say hello in the chat. That would be great, because that's the only way I'm going to know you're there. So, how's everybody who's in the UK, that is, coping with the heat? Hi, Terry. So, we will get started soon. Oh, thank you. Yeah, it got too hot, so it had to come off. it all came off. I'm still getting used to it though. We'll get there. But thank you. It's a wee bit warm, isn't it? It's like being back in Luxor without actually being back in Luxor. It's quite funny. Everybody else is sweltering. I'm like, yeah, this is normal. I can't. You know what? I think my eyesight's getting really bad these days. I heard there was an earthquake. Oh dear. Not sure of coping's word I would use. Oh, Rosemary. Oh, thank you. It's 80s in California. Hey, Shelley. Is that Shelley? Shelley, I hope I started your name right. Happy Wednesday to you too. It is warm today. Was it 35 degrees here up in Stafford today, so that's quite warm. We've got like a paddling pool outside, so literally every couple of hours I've been going and sitting in it. We're very fortunate because we actually have a small air conditioning unit in the house, so it's not too bad, I suppose. Oh good, I'm glad I said your name right. Yay. So and Esmond. Good. I'm glad she loved it. So this evening we will be exploring one of the tombs in the Valley of the Kings. I've decided to go with Merin Patar this evening. It's an interesting little tomb, actually. It kind of gives you a little bit of a look at how the tomb robbers tried to rob the tombs and tried to take stuff out. We might get to see a little bit of graffiti as we go through. It's a little bit difficult because obviously it's not a live video, but it's a video, so it's a bit difficult. The video is actually coming from my YouTube channel, so hopefully we won't get any adverts while we're watching, but we might do, just FYI. But if we do have any questions, please do ask away, and I will do as much as I can to answer those questions. Now, I'm not going to put any stories into the tomb. It's basically about the layout and a little bit about the design and what you're going to see in there, that kind of thing. But it kind of gives you an idea of what it's like to go into one of the tombs in the Valley of the Tombs if you've never been and you'd like to go, or maybe you've been to the Valley of the Kings and it was one that you didn't do and you'd like to do maybe next time. So, we'll see about that. Merin Patar, KV8 is the name of the tomb. Let's swap screens for you. I need to get into interactive mode so I can make it play in a minute. So KV8, the tomb of Merin Patar, has been open since antiquity. There is a presence of Greek and Latin graffiti, meaning the tomb was accessible at least as far as the first pillared hall. The first recorded clearance is that of Howard Carter, who in 1903 emptied the innermost parts. So what I'm going to do before we actually get into the architecture, decoration and the funerary stuff of the actual tomb itself is I am going to play the video. We'll play it through once, and then what we can do then is go back again a bit later on. I've lost the chat now. Well, that's not helpful, is it? Where's my chat gone? Hold on. Oh, there you are. yeah, so we'll go in, watch the video through once, and then we'll go back through it again a second time, but we'll slow it down and stop at each bit so we can actually go through it properly, okay, for you. So sit back, relax, enjoy the video. Hopefully you'll be able to hear the sound from the video itself. And then if you've got any questions at the end of the video, please ask away, and then we can go from there, okay? Okay, so that was the whole walkthrough from the tomb itself. As you can see, there's a bit of a mixture of quite a lot of destruction within the tomb and also some really beautifully painted bits in there as well. Unfortunately, a lot of that is due to flood damage, so that's why there's a lot of the lower level of the paintings and stuff that is missing. And yeah, Terry, you're absolutely right. It is, the artwork is just breathtaking and so amazing. And yeah, you're right when you say even the crumbling, in its crumbling state, it's still breathtaking. The fact that those images have managed to last for so long. I just think, you know, yes, you know, when you see reconstructions of the tombs and the temples, and they do like AI generated images, and they always come up so gaudy and so garish, don't they? You know, the really bright colours and things. But the one thing that I've noticed, you know, just going around some of the temples that have actually been restored, I'd say Esna is probably one of the best examples of colour restoration so far, is that it's very pastel colours that they're using. So it's still very vibrant, but also not like overwhelmingly vibrant. It's still very much you know, not so in your face. It's very well done. I do love the way that the ancient Egyptians have taken those natural colours, the natural colours from nature, and then put them on the walls in the tombs and in the temples. I just think it's beautiful. Anyway, back to Merenptah's tomb. So Merenptah, for those of you that may or may not know, was actually the first pharaoh to take over after Ramses II died. So it's actually one of Ramses' sons. I think he was the ninth in line, because I think 9 sons died before Ramses did. So he had to wait quite a long time before he was able to take over. So he's already quite an old man before he actually managed to get into being pharaoh. So he did change a few things about the architecture, but we'll get into that now. So the royal tomb was designed with the royal tomb design was simplified under Merenptah by abandoning the jogged axis used since the time of Horemheb, and utilising the single axis, which led directly from the entrance of the tomb to its burial chamber. Other innovations are apparent in there as well, so which we'll get into in a minute. Now, there could have been a reason for this. It could have been, as we've, I've already stated. Let's turn the sound off so we can walk a little bit in the tomb again. It could be quite literally because he was an old man and he hadn't got time to mess about with, having lots of little side rooms put in, that kind of thing. I would say that's probably one of the reasons why that he did it. Obviously, I'm not 100% sure because I wasn't there, but in the decision making. But that would be one of my rational mind reasonings to why he possibly did that. For the first time, the entrance to the King's Monument was made notably wider, so a lot wider. Oh, good, thank you. So the entrance to it was a lot wider than most of the other tombs that you get to. Internal corridors, so that the effect is of a more imposing facade. So you've got more, it's more imposing when you go in with all those colours. You can see the raised relief on here as well of the king. It's just beautiful. I just think the entrances to these tombs, especially around the 18th, 19th dynasties, they're actually really quite something special. And this is no exception. This modification was followed by every succeeding king to be buried in the royal necropolis after that. So KV8 is unique in adding small niche-like room, possibly dedicated to his father Ramses II. So we did see this as we went down. So let's go down as we go down. Now, the hieroglyphic text that you're seeing on the side walls here, which we will get into a little bit, and I will explain a little bit about after, is the Litany of Ra. Okay, so it's called the Litany of Ra. But you can see these little niches in the sides. Can you see those as we go down? You can see those inside. So, and then you've got these, as we get into the next doorway, as we go through there, there is more niches as well. So those are supposedly dedicated to his father, Ramses II, which I'm sure, you know, he'd really want to ride on the back of, because he had been around for so long, and he had managed to do so much in his time with his building works and his supposed military achievements as well. So you can understand why he probably would have done that. Again, you can see these amazing colours as we go down into the tomb, which are just breathtaking. Even though you can see on the sides of the walls there isn't much going on there, but you know, again, the ceiling is still pretty well preserved. And then you can see these little niches. Let's just go back just a second or two. Can you see those little holes? So that possibly there would have been door jambs in there, possibly. This would have all been locked up because it would have been done in stages, you know, to give it like a false positive, if you like, that you've got to the end of the tomb, that kind of thing. So it is interesting how this tomb goes down, and the little bits that you can see as you're going along. So, so as I said, possibly these niches were dedicated to Ramses II, to the chamber cut at the side of the first pillared hall. So we've seen those as we've gone down. Merenptah did away with the antechamber from his tomb plan, instead placing a similarly sized, sorry, I have to go through my notes because I have to do my notes at the same time, room between the two innermost corridors. And a modification employed after this king, only by Septar, and in a similar manner by Ramses III. So only two other pharaohs actually copied the design of this tomb a little bit later on. The door jambs of the tomb were cut out in order to permit the installation of the huge sarcophagi, and were replaced by decorated sandstone blocks detailed into they're divided into place. Several of these blocks displaced in antiquity were recovered by Edwin Brock during his clearance of the well. So it also actually gives us a little look at how they managed. They had to take some of the blocks out or make it even wider to be able to get those sarcophaguses in, because they're absolutely huge. I will go into one of the dimensions of the sarcophagus when we get down there, but they were massive structures and they weren't exactly light. You know, we're talking about, you know, proper red granite blocks. Now, we will get into the funerary attire as we go down. So let's just have a chat a little bit more about what we're seeing in the decoration. So the decoration of the tomb displays a much less radical departure from, from the original plan, although much was destroyed by existing flooding in antiquity, as we said. Enough painted surface survives, though for the first pillared hall and elsewhere show that the tomb was generally decorated along the same lines as those of Seti I and Ramses II. Remember, Seti I is his grandfather, Ramses II is his father. As in these predecessors' tombs, the first three passages contained the Litany of Ra. So that's what I said at the very beginning when we were going down. You could see the Litany of Ra. So what is the Litany of Ra? The Litany of Ra is an ancient funerary text from the New Kingdom, reserved only for the pharaoh and favoured nobility. The litany helps the deceased king merge with the sun god to be reborn each morning. Okay, so each morning. It is structured in two parts. So the first, the invocations, it begins with by listing the 75 different names and aspects of the sun god Ra. Okay, so that's how it starts, and then accompanied by prayers. The second, the royal apophthegms, consists of hymns, where the pharaoh assumes the forms of various deities and elements of nature. After the Litany of Ra, the scenes are followed by the Amduat. The scenes are divided on the walls and the well shafts, which we're getting into next. The stars on the ceiling. Is there a horoscope there too? Yeah, you do. It's not a horoscope. It is. It's more about the stars. It's the celestial constellations and stuff in the stars in the main chamber. But as you go down, you have its Nekhbet you've got on the ceiling, which is the vulture-headed goddess, and she was the goddess of Upper Egypt, so it makes sense that she would be on the ceiling as you're going down. Okay, so this is the first pillared hall, and this, as I said, has text of the Amduat on and the stars, as you quite rightly noted. But you can see there's an awful lot of just, has been destroyed here by the flooding. So I'm actually surprised that an awful lot managed to survive. There must have been sitting water in here for quite some time at one point. But, I'm quite surprised that they don't still flood even today. So, how they're not, when we do have rain in Egypt, I'm not quite sure, but it's quite interesting, isn't it? This view is one of my favourites, actually. Not because I'm coming out of a tomb and I've been in the ground for however long it took me to get to the bottom, and I'm probably breathing through my ears as I'm going up here because it's always such a long way up. But I always feel that it's, hey Jenna! I always feel that it's like a stairway to heaven as you're coming out of the tomb, because you ignore the person that's in the way. But if you had that just to yourself and you were going up that staircase, you're actually moving towards light. They say go towards the light, walk towards the light. Well, it's exactly perfect example of that, isn't it? Of going towards the light. And all the tombs are the same. Even in the pyramids, they're the same as well. So I always find that quite fascinating, that you're sort of like going up to the celestialness. It's quite an important thing. I think it's quite special, that really. And when you've got these tombs and places to yourself, it makes it even more sort of like awe-inspiring. It really is. So, what is the Amduat exactly? For those of you who don't know, Jenna's my daughter, who's just passed her university degree, got her degree, which I'm very, very, very proud of. So, if you want to say congrats to Jenna, you're most welcome to. After the Litany of Ra, as I said, we had the Amduat. The Amduat, in simplified terms, is the guide to the underworld. Okay, so it's a guide to the underworld. The upper pillared hall, once again, received the Book of Gates and the Shrine of, or the Osiris Shrine, with the lower passages having depictions of the opening of the mouth ceremony. Okay, so again, you can't see all of this as we go down, because as you can see from this wall, it's pretty destroyed, again from flooding, also quite possibly from looters as well, just taking bits of the wall away so they could take a bit of antiquity away with them. Now, as you come here into this bit, you'll see something that shouldn't by rights be there, and that is a sarcophagus lid. Now, this shouldn't be here at all, but it is, and this is a sign of tomb robbing at its best. Now, we know that the tombs were robbed in antiquity. It wasn't a new thing, it was done later on. The reason why is they did actually reuse one of the sarcophaguses for Merenptah a bit later on for another pharaoh, actually in the delta. So it actually didn't go into another Luxor tomb, it actually went way up north. So the delta is in the north of the country, probably as far north as you can go, almost without hitting the Mediterranean Sea. So it was actually used in another tomb there, which is quite incredible. So they're obviously saving a bit of money back then, but the fact that they actually took them out is quite a massive feat in itself. But you can see this, they started to cut this sarcophagus lid out, but decided to leave it in situ because obviously it was way too heavy for them to actually get it all the way to the outside, a long way up. Plus, as we said a little bit earlier on, they had to widen the alleyway or the way in and out to be able to get the sarcophaguses in and out anyway. So if they didn't realise that the ancient Egyptians had done that in the first place, then they would have had to start knocking walls down. And I know, you know, some of the tomb robbers were a little bit more sympathetic than others, so they didn't do that. But and this is how I think in the end they did discover that they had actually removed some of the blocks to actually get the sarcophagus in the first place, which I think is quite interesting. Okay, so the new room built between these lower passages contains a section of the Book of the Dead. Merenptah's burial chamber not only contains sections of the Book of Gates, astronomical ceiling, but also replaced the traditional material from the Amduat with the solar-oriented scenes from the Book of Caverns, which were predominantly displayed on the right-hand wall, which we'll see when we go down. Okay, now I'm not going to go into massive amounts of detail about these different books that I've mentioned. What I will do though is I will put together some tours after I've done a bit of study, because it's not easy, on the books that I've talked about. So the Book of the Dead, the Amduat, the Litany of Ra, Book of Gates, and the Book of Caverns. And I will do a tour for each of those later on in the year. So we can go through those and explain what they are in the simplest terms that we can. But it's going to take a little bit of research for that. So do bear with me while I put those together. But I do have some really good tours coming up, so do check those out a bit later on. So back to the caverns then. So you can see that the sarcophagus isn't in a very good state in here. Now, if you look at the right-hand walls, we said we have the Book of Caverns on that wall. Now, although the importance of Ra and the king's association with the god is clear in the tomb, the importance of Osiris is still evident in a number of areas. In the Osiris shrine of the first pillared hall, for example, Osiris wears a porticle inscribed with the king's name, thus identifying Pharaoh directly with the netherworld deity. Okay, so they put the two together. It's quite interesting. So the funerary equipment then that we can see, we can't see too much in here. Well, I say we can't see too much in here. We do have partial bits of the sarcophagus, and then we have the sarcophagus lid that they tried to pull out, and also we have part of the second sarcophagus lid within the tomb itself, which we'll see as we're looking down. So Merenptah's equipment was equipped with 4 stone sarcophagi, 3 outer containers of red granite. Now remember, the red granite comes all the way from Aswan, which is like 600 miles away from Luxor, so it has to go down the Nile to get to Luxor, and these things aren't light either, so can you imagine? You can see all those little niches in the wall as well. Fortunately, you can't get into that last room at the back there, which is a bit of a shame, even though there's not much to see in there, but it would be nice to be able to go in. And 4 innermost arthropod sarcophaguses, one being of creamy white calcite. Now, if you want to have an example of that, if you go to the British Museum, you can actually see a piece of Merenptah's calcite sarcophagus. One piece, that's all there is. But if you go to the John Sloan Museum in London as well, you can actually see a full calcite sarcophagus from Seti I. I say full, it's the bottom part of it, because I think the top got destroyed or it's somewhere else. I can't remember where the lid for that sarcophagus is, but the John Sloan Museum in London actually has the bottom part of it, which is beautiful. It's this beautiful white sarcophagus with intricate hieroglyphics painted in black on there, it's really fascinating. You can spend hours looking at it actually, because there's so much detail. But if you go on to, if you Google it even, the John Sloan Museum, you'll be able to see that. it's really, really cool. And next time I go to the British Museum, I will be looking out for this calcite bit for Mehran Patar's sarcophagus. The outermost of the 3 granite sarcophaguses comprises of a huge 4.1 metre in length. Okay, so that's how long it was. Slightly vaulted rectangular lid, which was moved in antiquity to chamber H, which is where we saw that it had been literally dumped and left. Only the cartouche of the shaped lid remains of the second sarcophagus, which is embellished with a reclining mummified figure of the pharaoh. Both of these outer sarcophagi were decorated with extracts from the book of from the Emduat and the Book of Gates. Now, if you look at this picture here, okay, you can see this is actually, you have all these signs on the outsides of the tombs before you go in, so it gives you a little bit of detail on what you're seeing, but you can see that that tomb is dead straight. And if you have a look at some of the other videos I've got in my YouTube videos, all of them, I tend to try and put these maps in at the beginning. You'll see they're very, very different, a lot of them. So it's very unusual to have it directly down like this, because they wanted to try and they knew that the graves were going to be robbed. So they try to put those grave robbers off as much as they can. As I said, with this particular tomb, a lot of the colours and details are missing, but we do have just enough to be able to see that there were changes made within this particular time period, again, 19th dynasty. Why? Again, my speculation would be it's because he was an old man, he didn't have much time left, so he didn't want to hang about waiting for an elaborate tomb to be built. It was already elaborate enough with what he had, but I think he probably had to make some changes within there to make sure that he was able to get the tomb that he actually wanted. Now, what I can do for us, actually, while I've got you all, is you can actually I can actually change this video over and show you Seti the First's tomb. Would you like me to do that for you? Would you like to see Seti First tomb? And then you can actually see the difference between the two, which I think, well, I say difference between the two. There isn't much difference between them as in the decoration, but it will give you an idea of what the decoration really looks like. So bear with me while I find it on my YouTube channel, because I've got to find it first. And as always, it's about 1,000,000 miles down the list of all of them. Seti, where are you? There we are. Let's go into this one. Right, bear with me. I have to do a little bit of magic. So this one's going to disappear for a moment. Okay. So we're going to have a little advert first. So I'm swapping over videos. Okay, I'll put the sound back on this one. And then I will play the video. Hopefully this goes okay. Right, let's get playing this video. So sit back and enjoy this video. This is Seti the First. Now, Seti the First, as I said, was Mehran Patar's grandfather, and you will see a lot of similarities between the two tombs. But if you can use your imagination a little bit and just imagine how Mehran Patar's tomb would have looked if it had survived as well as his grandfather's. So they would have been very, very similar in design. Well, not in design, but in look. This one actually does have a jagged or a staggered, I should say, drop down because you have so many different antechambers in this one. But have a look at this and let me know what you think. particular chamber, Terry, is actually unfinished. Why, I'm not sure. Maybe he died. Maybe it had been an extra thought he had about putting that extra chamber in. But what I like about it, it does give us some idea of how they went about designing and starting off the designs for the tombs. You're welcome.
This brilliant device keeps
sorry.
the room cool in the summer.
There's always an advert. I do apologise.
It's smaller than a lunchbox, cools any room within.
That wasn't part of the tomb. I always find that room quite amazing with the cow we just saw, because that's actually the room for the celestial cow. So there would have been a mummified cow in there at one point, which I find quite incredible. This is the room for the celestial cow. Which, by the way, you're not supposed to go into, but luckily they allowed me to go in and video it, so I was really quite pleased with this. Okay, so that is the tomb of Seti the First, which was the grandfather to Merenptah. So it gives you kind of an idea of what Merenptah's tomb would have looked like if it was still fully decorated, had all those stunning colours. It just goes to show how much has been destroyed in that tomb over the time, and how much is missing by, if we go, what his grandfather's tomb looked like. And they would have been very similar in design, I do believe, because of the time frame as well. But I do think that he did do it on a straight axis because of the fact that he had very little time, because he was already an old man. I think he was already in his 70s or something when he took over power. So it just goes to show why. Wait, have we to talk about the last image? No. You'll have to try and figure out what that was by yourself. No, it wasn't. It was a pair of legs with a tail. So no, it wasn't what you thought it was. So has anybody got any questions they'd like to ask about any of the tomb this evening? Now, don't forget, this is a free tour for you to come and watch, but if you would like to show me a bit of love and like to buy me a coffee, you can with the link that I've just posted in the chat there for you. Also, it shows you all the up-and-coming tours that I've got coming up, so do jump on one of those. My next one will be on Tuesday next week, which is a bit unusual. I was going to do it Friday, but unfortunately, with the weather the way it's been, there's no way in this world or the next I am standing over a cooker cooking food for you. So that will be done next Tuesday. Hopefully the weather will be a little bit cooler by then. We'll be delving into the art of Egyptian cooking, and I will be cooking up a storm there for you. Not quite sure what it's going to be yet, but you have to wait and see, and come and join me on Tuesday. That's going to be earlier than usual. That's going to be at 4 p.m. So do join me for that if you can. And then we'll be back to some Egyptian history again on the Wednesday. What do we have coming up? I shall tell you. Hold on. We have what we were talking about. Oh, we're going to be talking about one of my favourite topics, actually. The life and death of Ramses III. Always very interesting, that one. So do join me for that as well, because that's going to be quite interesting. I've been very lucky that I've managed to travel to various different places and collect lots of different bits of information, including the judiciary papyrus of the court case of the perpetrators of the death or the murder of Ramses III. So do join me for that on Wednesday next week. Hopefully I'll have everything together by then, and there'll be a video, there'll be a slideshow there for you as well. I've also put a lot of new tours on my Buy Me a Coffee page as well, so you can have a look on there. We've got, I'm actually going to start doing a Gods and Goddess series as well. I've got Kamumbo coming up. We're going to do a virtual walk around Karnak Temple. We're going to go do a museum tour, and I am going to do a tour on who was the goddess Sekhmet. So that's going to be my first god or goddess in the series. So do join me for that as well. So lots and lots of things coming up. Hi, Bridget. How are you? I know Seti's tomb is one of my favourite. It is my favourite, actually. I have to go back into Tutmosis III's tomb again, if I'm honest, because I used to love that a lot as well. But I think possibly Seti has now pipped him to the post, because it is a beautiful tomb, that one. It really is stunning, absolutely stunning. Just so many colours, so vibrant, just so beautiful. So yeah, I think probably Seti the First is one of my favourites, actually. Yeah, I won't be doing that. I'm not mummifying no one, sorry. No, not getting involved in that. But so that is it for me this evening, guys. If you would like to buy me a coffee, please do. I'd be very much appreciated. A lot of time and effort goes into these tours, and I do love bringing them to you. So if you would like to show me some love, do go to Buy Me a Coffee page and buy me a coffee there, and it all helps towards the research, the time spent, and the bits and pieces, because sometimes I do pay people over in Egypt to go and get me a bit more footage for me. So yes, please do, if you can, that would be absolutely amazing. This will be saved, so you'll be able to go back and relive these moments again at your leisure. So please do. And I did post a brand new video today of the tomb of Seti II. So that is live now on my YouTube channel as well. It's the latest video on there. So do check that out. Again, a bit different. And you can see the difference between these guys and his tomb. All the similarities, you know, have a look. Check that out. It is on my YouTube channel. I do have 9 other new videos, if not a few more actually, because I've got a few other saved bits and pieces to one side coming up, and I will stagger those going out over the next few months for you. But we've got lots of exciting content coming up. So do check it out as and when you can. So that is it for me this evening. Thank you so much for coming along. Again, thank you for all your support. It means so much to me, as always. It's always so much fun doing these tours. And I hope to see you next week. Again, Tuesday at 4 p.m. UK time for some Egyptian cooking, and then 8 p.m. UK time on Wednesday for a chat about Ramses III. So again, thank you so much for coming, guys. It's been my pleasure. Have a wonderful evening. Be good and stay safe out there. And if you're suffering from the heat, remember, stay cool as well as much as you can. And stay hydrated, also very good. And lemon juice is always a good thing to get. Just remember. Until next time, have a great weekend, and I'll see you all soon. Take care for now. Bye for now. Bye, everyone.